So Matthew chapter 24. So again, this is Jesus talking about the end times. And he's saying things like, you will be hated as believers. You'll turn on each other. You know, people will hate you. People will persecute you, and all these things. But I want us to focus on verse 45. Let me just read that verse 42 and on, just so that we get a little bit of context. So again, this is talking about the second coming. Verse 42 says this, "Therefore, be on alert, for you do not know which day your Lord is coming. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house has known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have been on the alert and would not have allowed his house to be broken into. For this reason, you must also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will." So yeah, Jesus is talking about his second coming. Already his disciples are confused out of their mind with him telling about his death and resurrection. They're like, God, Jesus, we don't get it. And now he's jumping ahead and saying, oh, but there's going to be time that when I'm already gone, I'm going to come back. When? You don't even know. It's going to be like he talks about it as, imagine someone who got a heads up that a thief was about to enter his house at night. Now imagine this is you. Imagine you're at home and someone texts you saying, hey, I heard that this person is planning to break into your house tonight and steal your TV, or something like that. Which one of you would be ready about it? You know, you wouldn't sleep. You'd make sure you're prepared for when this thief comes. You'd have police there already, maybe. So you'd be ready. But it's often not like that. Oftentimes, when someone breaks into your house, they're not going to tell you. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I wish someone told me the moment they're going to break into my car. But they won't. It's going to happen. It's going to happen overnight, and you're not going to know about it. Same thing with the second coming. Jesus will come. You won't get a message saying, hey, heads up, Jesus is about to come. We're not about to get a mass global text. There won't be a TV alert or a radio alert. It's going to happen. Now, let's read on. In verse 45, "Who then is the faithful and sensible slave whom his master put in charge of his household, to give them their food at the proper time? Blessed is the slave whom his master finds so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you that he will put him in charge of all his possessions." I love that. Jesus is saying, okay, so if my return is going to be so sudden, who of you is going to be wise about it? Who of you is going to be faithful about it? Imagine the master of a house is leaving, and he says, you, my servant, I need you to make sure that the rest of my household is fed when they need to be fed. I need you to make sure that while I'm away, they're loved and taken care of. And then he goes on to say, blessed is the slave, blessed is the servant whom his master finds so doing when he comes. When his master returns, how great would it be if the master actually comes home seeing that the slave, the servant, is actually doing what he told him to do? If the master said, take care of my family while I'm away, how great does it feel when he's actually taking care of his family? Those of you who are parents, it's a hard thing to trust someone with your child when you go away. It's hard to find babysitters who are trustworthy. But now put yourself in the shoes of this master, that when you're away and you're expecting your babysitter to actually take care of your kids, feed them when they need to be fed, their homework is done, maybe give them a bath, whatever it is, sleeping by like 8 p.m., how bad does it feel when you come home and none of that was done? Your child is stinky. They haven't bathed, they haven't changed, they didn't brush their teeth, they haven't, they're still awake. They haven't eaten. That doesn't feel good as a parent. So this is kind of that image that Jesus is bringing with this parable here. That his ascension and him coming again is like that master who has left his servants with a task. Take care of my household. Let's read on. Verse 48 says, But if that evil slave says in his heart, my master is not coming for a long time, and begins to beat his fellow slaves and eat and drink with drunkards, the master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour which he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So again, put yourself in those shoes as a parent. You come home and your babysitter has tied up your kids and is having a party in your house. First of all, they're not getting paid. Let's talk about that. Second of all, man, you're mad. That's not cool. You left them with the task. Take care of my kids. Love them. Feed them. And then you come home and the kids are locked in the basement or whatever. They haven't been fed and the babysitter's out partying. That's not good. This is the image that Jesus is giving us. And I want to tie this in with our message this whole month. A love that transforms. We're talking about it. About love, about Jesus, about his love, about how much he loves us and how much we should love each other. I was just talking with the youth leaders and young adult leaders about how apparently there's people who keep kind of complaining that, why do we always talk about love in church? It's always the same message. Love, love, love. Love God. Love each other. And I think it's because of this. Like we said, it is so much easier said than done. Just like Paul, just like Jesus, just like everything you read, they're going to keep talking about love. Because this love shouldn't just be something that's heard, but we want to actually see it transform you. We want to actually see you living out this love. My answer to the youth and young adult leaders was, I'm going to keep preaching love. Even if just the basics of Jesus loves you, therefore you should love each other. I'm going to keep preaching that. And I think any pastor, any preacher would agree, we're going to keep preaching until we actually see it happening. I wouldn't need to preach about you living out love if we're already doing it. Then what's the point? I can move on to something else. But take note of this. This is not just a message to you. I'm not just throwing shade and saying, hey, I'm not seeing love happening. But this is first and foremost a message to myself as well. There are so many areas in my life where I feel like I'm not showing love, or where I'm quick to be angry about something and not quick to listen to the other people. Now, we're talking about a love that transforms, and here's the story of a master leaving his house, a master leaving his servants in charge, and expecting them to love and take care and feed of his household. Now let's put ourselves in that shoes. God has saved you. Jesus died for you, and he left saying, go, make disciples. Go, love each other. Love your neighbor as I have loved you. Love your enemy. He's left us with all these things. But yet, how many of us actually live that out? There is a poem called, Does Anybody Know That You're a Christian? And it's written by Karnes, Karness. He's a poet. So his poem is called, Does Anybody Know That You're a Christian? And a small part of it says this: does anybody know that you're a Christian by your actions? Or does everybody believe you're a Christian because you're acting? Do we live our lives expecting full-time benefits when we are living a part-time job of Christianity? Is God just a job, or is he a lifestyle that we should be living out to the fullest? That was this poet's message. Are we Christian just by name? Do people know we're Christian just because we say so? Or do we even have to say it? Do people see that you're a Christian by your actions? Do people see that you're a Christian by how much you love them, how much you love the world by, it doesn't matter how much their boss talks crap about you or how much people turn their back against you, you're still going to show that love. Do people see you as a Christian because of that? Or are you just one who is quick to post something on a Sunday, quick to go to church, quick to go to Bible study, and then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're just someone else? What I love about the story about this master is it's posing us three questions. The first question I want to ask here is, when are you a servant? Is it just on Sundays? Is it just on Saturdays during Bible study? Do the people that you commune with for church see you as a Christian only on that day? Is that the only time that you are well behaved, when there's other holy people around you? Or are you a Christian even when no one is looking? Are you able to show love even in the darkest places of your life? Even when you are filled with anger, when you have so much reason to hate the people you're around? When are you a Christian? Philippians 1:27 says this: "Only conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I, Paul, come and see you or remain absent, I will hear of you that you are standing firm in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel." Brothers and sisters, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ, worthy of the gospel that we preach and that we hear. Are we living out our lives not just one day, but every single day? Is this just a part-time gig, or is this our life? Are you conducting yourselves every single day? I don't see Paul saying, hey, when we get together, are you conducting yourselves worthy of the gospel we preach? Just so that we could see each other and be like, oh yeah, we're all goody-goodies. You're good in life. Or even in the toughest of your times, are you able to conduct yourself worthy of the gospel, worthy, able to show love in those situations? When are you a servant? Next thing is, how are you a servant? What are the things that God is calling us to do when He's away? Is our master just asking us, feed my household, like he's saying in this story? God is asking so much of us. And above all these things, that thing that He's asking us to do is love. We've talked about it every Sunday for the past 4 weeks. Last week was, are you able to love those who don't have what you have? How are you a servant? Are we only taking up these small opportunities to love people when it's convenient for us? Or are we meeting people where they're at? Are we meeting people on the streets when they walk past us or we walk past them? Are we seeing families even in our own congregation who are in need, and are we quick to jump and offer them some help or some comfort? In what way are you a servant? What is our master asking of you? In James 1:22, I'm just dropping everything. James 1:22. "But prove yourselves doers of the word, and not merely hearers who delude themselves. For if anyone who is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he's like a man that looks at his face in a mirror. For once he has looked at himself and gone away, he immediately forgets what kind of person he was." Be doers of the word. Sure, yes, we are so blessed to hear God's word. We're so blessed that we could read God's word. But is that enough? James is saying, be doers of it, because the person who is a doer, who is merely just someone who hears it, is like someone who looks in a mirror, looks away, and forgets who he is, forgets what he looks like. If in our lives we are called to be reflections of Christ, imagine looking at the mirror and forgetting that you are supposed to be Christ-like today. Forgetting whose image you're made of. Forgetting who God called you to be and called you to who you are. That is what it's like to just sit here and listen to the words and then go home and not apply it. We are called to not just be listeners, but to actually live out our lives. How are you a servant? And now my last question here is, to whom are you a servant? In this story, who is the master? Another way we could put that is, who are you trying to please in your life? Do we come on a Sunday and serve with all our heart for the approval of the people around us? And then the moment no one's looking, my life is different on a Monday, my life is different on a Tuesday. The way I talk with my coworkers is different than the way I talk with my church mates. That's a really tough question. To whom are you a servant? But I hope we realize the master in this story is not your pastor. The master in the story is not your parents. This master is Christ himself. He is God. He is our master. Something that frustrates me sometimes, especially as someone who works with kids and works with youth, is the fact that the way people present themselves to me is much different from the way I see them every day. And that doesn't bother me. That's whatever. I'm glad people could watch what they say. I'm glad that people could watch what they do when we're in church and when we're together. But it's as if people do these good things, act this good way for the approval of those around them, especially in a church setting. Which, how many of us here today, when we go to Bible studies, that's when we leave the more colorful words at home, or the more aggressive behaviors. That's really cool. I love that. I love that we could come together and show love to each other in that way. But my question is, to whom is your master? Are you here to please us, other believers? Or do you not realize that when you go home, it doesn't matter that Kuya Mike doesn't see, or Pastor Bong doesn't see, or Pastor Greg doesn't see, or my parents don't see what I'm doing. What matters is someone does see that. In my flesh, as a person, honestly, I couldn't care less if someone goes home and whatever words they use, or whatever actions they use. Sure, yes, I would love for you all. I want us all to live lives worthy of this gospel we preach. I want us to all live lives that are glorifying to God. But not because I want you to look good for me. Not because I want you to look good for the church. But because I want you to glorify God in everything you do. It doesn't matter if I see it or not. It doesn't matter if Pastor Bong sees it. It doesn't matter if people on Instagram see it. What matters is our master's away right now, but he's coming. But at the same time, he knows what you're up to and he cares. His Spirit's in you. His Spirit's the one that grieves in you every time you do something he doesn't want you to do. And he's the one that you need to answer to. Because like in this story, when the master comes and the evil slave is the one still beating his family, still partying with the drunkards, still doing the opposite of what he's told to do, there is a judgment for him. He will be put in with the hypocrites. He will be treated like that. It's that person who sees the opportunities that his master's away and takes advantage of it, does the wrong stuff, doesn't show the love he's supposed to show, that he will be treated like those who deserve it. This is a big warning to us. And I know we're supposed to be celebrating love, but I don't think we can sugarcoat this enough. I don't think we can sugarcoat this at all. That we are called to love. Our master's away right now, but he's coming. Is he going to catch you doing the opposite of what he's called you to do? When Jesus comes again, and we don't know when, it could even be this next minute or next year or in 10 years or whatever it is, 100 years. If in your lifetime he comes, will he catch you with your pants down? Will he catch you showing anger and being, I don't know, like whatever it is that he has not called you to do. I don't want to list every single thing. Do you want Jesus to come in a moment where you are still harboring a grudge towards someone, where you're not willing to forgive someone like he's told you to? This is a big eye-opener for us, because at any moment, just like a thief entering a house, Jesus will come, our master will come back. And do we want to present ourselves to him a living sacrifice? That in everything we did, we glorified him, even when people weren't looking? Or are we waiting for him to come, and the moment we hear those trumpets, the moment we see the flash of light, we think, oh shoot, I forgot to make rice like he told me to. Oh shoot, I forgot to do the dishes. Let me quickly run and do it. Oh shoot, I forgot to feed the kids. Oh shoot, I didn't love my neighbor. I didn't forgive my sister. I didn't feed the man who needed it. I didn't clothe him. I don't think it's going to matter that the moment he comes, is that when we're going to run to the street and throw our money at people who need it, who've been asking for it? Or book a flight to Africa to build wells? Or find widows in need and comfort them and show them a place that is welcoming? Is that the time, the moment Jesus comes? Are we waiting for that? Or in every moment, are we preparing ourselves? And I mean meeting those people where they need to be met, in their moments of distress. Loving those who need it. Caring for his children. Clothing them. Not looking for a deadline. Not looking for the right time to do it, but just now, in this moment. Are people able to see that you're a Christian? And on the flip side, are people able to see who your master is based off of your actions? So my challenge for all of us at the end of this month, at the end of this love month where we're talking about it, when we're done talking about it, I want to challenge us. Right now, think of someone that you need to show love to in your life, that you haven't been doing that. Just in your head. Or maybe think of people that you feel like you need to be showing more love to, or more grace to, more patience towards. I'm sure all of us thought of at least one person. I thought of a handful. Start there. Start with something simple. Ask them out for coffee. Things like that. Maybe if there's someone even in this church right now that you have a disagreement with, where you have there's tension between you, where you see each other and you instantly walk to the opposite sides of the church. If that's one of those people in your mind, maybe it's as simple as sitting down with them and saying, how can we even be friends in this moment? How can we show love to each other, even a little bit? Maybe you thought of not just a single person, but you thought of a group of people. Maybe it's the people in this community that we don't even know. Maybe it's the homeless downtown. Maybe it's a specific ethnicity. Maybe it's a specific family. Maybe it's your own family that you need to forgive. It's in those ways that you can start. And I know it's hard. I love what Paul says, to live is Christ and to die is gain, because, man, honestly, it would be so much better if God just took me. I'm ready. I'm good. I'm good to go, God. That would be great if I could just be done here and live the rest of my life with God. But Paul recognizes this. The greater sacrifice is actually living your life for him. That we actually get the opportunity to suffer through loving people, to battle our own inner desires and forgive someone, to suck up our pride and help someone in need, even if it's a group of people that I don't really agree with or I don't really like. That is a true sacrifice. To actually surrender your life, your whole life, every single aspect, not just your Sundays, not just your Saturdays, not just your Bible study times or your morning coffee with God or whatever it looks like, but actually sacrifice every single moment and surrender those aspects of your life, your work, your friends, your relationships, your family, everything, your sports, your fishing, your basketball, every single one of those things. Are we surrendering it to God and saying, God, in every one of these aspects, I want to love as you loved. You have given me this love. You have shown me this love. So Lord, help me to love as you love in every single aspect of my life. When are you a servant? How are you a servant? And to whom are you a servant? We have one master, that is Christ. We don't know when he's coming, but he has called each and every one of you, and he has given each and every one of you the power and the means to do it. Man, you don't need a degree in theology or in ministry to go out and love someone. You have that power. God has called you right now in this moment to love, to forgive, to be patient, to be merciful. Don't just listen to these words, church, but let these words change and transform every aspect of your life. Because when our master returns, how beautiful it will be when he says, "Well done, my faithful servant. Come home. You did great." How amazing would that be? Let me pray for you all.
God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below.